So one pivot I've made is, at first it was easy to blame external things. It's easy to say pesticides, the mosquito truck. It's easy to point to a lot of things. And I think, as humans, that's natural, right? We don't want to take accountability. It's not our natural instinct to say, listen, I take the blame for this. And so that's an easy out. In my week one, man, I was hating the mosquito truck. After a couple weeks of thinking on this, I'm realizing that that's out of my control. I can complain to the city. I can post about pesticides. There's a number of things that impact bees, but they're out of my control. And there are a lot of things that are in my control. And so I'm just going to kind of go over those and give you some thoughts on what I'm thinking for next year, how I can do a better job. Because, if there's one thing, this was a terrible, terrible week. Like, my wife will tell you, I was pretty down that day. I never lose my temper, but I did not think twice about throwing that hive tool. This was bad. So anyway, first thing is mite testing. My first couple years, I didn't treat for mites, and I didn't test for them either. There was one year, 2018, where I treated all my hives with oxalic acid. And to be honest, why did I treat every hive? I didn't really know how to test for mites. And it seemed like everything I read, it seemed kind of like a pain, so I just treated everything. One thing I'm going to do this year is I want to get the testing dialed in. And it doesn't necessarily mean I need to jump to treatment, but last year I went all natural. I would like to see what all natural looks like on paper. What's my mite load per 100 or per 1,000 bees? And, try to learn from this. That's my goal. This was a terrible feeling. I want to avoid this feeling in the future. And so I want to learn from this. The second thing was splits. Last year, I was very focused on growing. I built a bunch of equipment, so I wanted to fill it. And I did some splits that were a little late in the year. And instead of ordering a queen, I just would find day-old cells, and I'd do that type of split where they would raise a queen, she would leave and go on a mating flight, she'd come back, and then she'd start laying. And I've never bought queens, honestly, because I'm a little bit of a tightwad, but I think there's some value there. I'm in Missouri, my summers are only so long, and buying a queen that's been bred, I think, just gives you time to start laying, time to bring a good population in. And so last year, if I'm being honest, I think I probably split. I was doing splits until the first week of June. And so, which kind of dovetails into my next point, supplemental feeding. I've had years where I've done a really good job of that. As I expand, it's just more, right? You're buying more sugar. It takes more effort to bring down, instead of bringing a gallon of sugar water down, you're bringing 10 gallons or 20 gallons. And I got behind on feeding last year. I fed my bees, but during the July, August periods where there's not a whole lot of natural pollen or nectar, I didn't do a good job. And again, I'm sharing this with you, not as a proud beekeeper, but as someone who wants to learn from my mistakes and wants to bring you along with me so you avoid this. This feeling is terrible. Let's learn together.
Ah! Oh, even in my pants!